Hello, once again, this is Brother Teacher. And hopefully, I'm going to teach you something that maybe you don't already know or did not already know. This particular subject is on tithing and offerings, primarily tithing as it relates to the church. Tithing is uh, something that people have been doing for many, many, many years in the church. And it is when you give a portion of your income to the church. It is a custom and tradition that people have been following for years. And the word tithe, Tithe, means tenth or tenth part, whereby you give a tenth of your increase, being money. And back in the old days, if you were a farmer, you would give a tenth of your best crops, your best animals, sheep, goat, cattle, and what have you. A tenth part of whatever you had of value. And you would give it to the storehouse or to the priest. And if you read the book of Malachi in the Bible, in the Old Testament, Malachi 3 and 8 more specifically, it asks the question, will a man rob God? But ye say, wherein have we robbed thee? And he goes on to say, in tithes and offerings. Now, tithing is supposed to go where? I'm going to read that for you specifically from the Bible. Will a man rob God? Yet ye have robbed me. But ye say, wherein have we robbed thee? In tithes and offerings. Ye are cursed with a curse, for ye have robbed me, even this whole nation. Bring ye all the tithes into the storehouse, that there may be meat in my house, and prove me now herewith, saith the Lord of hosts, if I will not open up the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing, that there may not be room enough for you to receive. Now, I'll stop there. Please read that all at your leisure. And any other scripture, please search it out pertaining to tithing and offerings. So, the whole gist of this is about why we pay tithes. Tithing is not for modern day preachers. Contrary to popular belief, contrary to what man has been doing, I've heard it said, I've heard it preached, that the preachers today are supposed to receive tithing for the work that they're doing for God. That's a lie. No, they're not. God has never had to pay the preachers today, modern day, 20th century, 21st century. He's never given them tithing for preaching. I don't believe that. And I challenge anyone to show me in the scripture where he's talking about them of modern day. Tithing was given to the original Levites of the church. Once upon a time, in the Levitical priesthood, there were Levites that lived in the temple who did not have an occupation other than they were priests that lived inside the temple who did not have a job per se. That was God's rendering to them so that they could feed the poor. Not only that they would have substance, that they would be able to have a means to live, but they would take care of the widows, and the poor, the downtrodden, those that were without. That was the purpose, the original purpose of the tithing, for those that were without. It is not for the modern day preachers to buy brand new Mercedes, Cadillacs, Escalades, Tahoes, jets, helicopters, mansions, $500 and $5,000 suits, and gold rings, and go on trips. It was never intended for that. So those guys are hustlers. I'm sorry. Now, I am ordained and have been since the early 80s. And I came up in the church. Sometimes you do things out of loyalty. You do things out of service. And I did this for many, many years. I paid tithing and I paid offerings religiously, no pun intended, out of loyalty and out of service and out of duty. And I've always been very faithful to my cause and the cause, if you will. Very devoted to the church, if you will, to the brotherhood that I served in. Nothing's ever changed, and there's no love lost. However, sometimes the Almighty gives us understanding, and He opens up understanding to us and gives us wisdom, sometimes greater wisdom, down the road. Now, again, I'm not discouraging anyone out there to not pay tithing. If that's something that you want to do, that's your elective. That's something you choose to do. That's your prerogative. If you've been paying tithes for years and you continue to pay tithing and want to continue to pay tithing, that's your prerogative. Continue to do so. But I'm telling you, scripturally, that's not sound for modern day, today. That was only for the Levitical priesthood. When the Levites lived in the temple, that was for their time, their dispensation, not for today. Today's priest, there are none. Today's preachers and pastors, they're not supposed to be receiving tithing. And if they are receiving tithing, why are they not giving it to the poor? Why are they not feeding the homeless? I'm not talking about a church here and there. I'm talking about all of the so-called synagogues and churches. Why are they not doing what they're supposed to be doing with the tithing, instead of taking all of the money in for themselves and enriching themselves, and most of their members poor or very close to poor? God, Yahweh, Allah, never intended for His people to be poor. Never, ever, ever. And the pastors are rich. Never intended for it to be that way. So that's backwards. Something's wrong with that picture. So think on these things. This is Brother Teacher. Have a great day.